Well, hello, my name is Mark David Stallard and welcome to I'm Alive Animation. Today I'm rigging the body of a character for my latest project. I'm alive, and I hold on to you. Okay, so today I'll be rigging the body of my new character, Mona. So I'll be rigging just her body. In the next video I'll start rigging the head turns and the eyes and the mouth and eyebrows and everything else that you might need for a head. I'll also not be rigging the hands in this video either, just because I've already got the rig prepared for the hands, which I prepared about a year ago. I will do a video on hands, probably multiple videos on that, so stay tuned for that, so subscribe and all that other good stuff. For this tutorial I'm just creating a basic body rig. Before you start rigging anything, you need to ask yourself the question, what do I need the rig to do? Is the character going to be running, jumping, flying, sitting at a desk, standing still? You need to know what you want the character to do in order for you to get it to do what you want it to do. So this rig just needs the character to stand still, look confused and worried as the scene unfolds around her. So I'm going to rig the bones and joints as well as some of the smart bones to create a subtle body turn. So let's get rigging. So this is Mona. So we're going to start rigging it. I've obviously already drawn the character, already designed out the way I want it to look. And just so you know what it is I'm rigging, every major segment of the body between two major joints are a single layer. And what I mean by that, if we can pick on the right forearm, for instance, we've got a major joint and the rest of the major joints in the elbow. That's a single layer. And when I rig the bones, it'll be from the major joints, and you'll see that that'll kind of reflect how a real skeleton will line up. So let's get on it. First thing I need to do is go to the roots of the folder where the character is in, where all the layers are under, right click and convert to a bone layer. Once I've converted that to a bone layer, we've got the bone tools up top here. So if you click on the add bone tool, there are some keyboard shortcuts. I tend not to use them for no good reason. The first bone you put in is the tailbone, and I like to put this in approximately at the top of the pelvis, where the pelvis might be, or where the backbone would meet the pelvis. In this particular case, I think it should be around there for this character to work properly. I'm going to put a big tailbone in. There's probably a better name for it, but it's a bone that you would use to move the entire character. All the bones will parent onto this one, and it'll become apparent why that one is there. So while that bone is highlighted, and I just start drawing the bones. In this particular case, I'm going to have a single backbone because she's not going to bend from anywhere from the pelvis to the shoulders. There could be another bone or two there for a bit of flexibility. This pose will not require that because the odds are. So I don't really need a second bone in that body. So from the tip of that bone, I like to go from the tip of the bone. I'm going to move that one over just a bit. And I'm going to start building the skeleton from the base of where I think the bones are. Now the neck tends to join the skull parallel with the nose, give or take. So that's the neck bone. This is the head bone. So the head will turn from that point, from this point of view. Now using the Alt key, hold Alt key down, left click on the chest bone, and I'm going to start drawing the collarbones and the arms. So I want to see what I'm doing, so I'm just going to hide the head. So the collarbone, I'm going to put the collarbone basically where the collarbone should appear, and then I'm going to put the arm down to the elbow joint, which should be about there, and I'm going to put then this down to the wrist, which would be there, and there'll be a single bone for the hand. Now that single bone for the hand will move the entire switch layer with all the different layers under that. And then we just do the same thing again. Okay, shoulder. Now these placements are as close as I think I can get them, but as we start rigging we will change. We will have to move those bones, and we're probably going to have to move the so adjust some of the layers as well. So now I'm going to highlight the tailbone. I'm now going to then add a pelvis bone, so that would be approximately then where the bottom of the pelvis would be. And from here I am going to put over here where I believe the leg should move, even though there's no leg under the skirt. I'll demonstrate that. But I'm still going to put the bones there because if I do decide to move the legs, it will be relative to the thigh. So I'm just going to put these bones in. I'll keep the skirt off. And then I'm just going to move that approximately where the knee would be, and put the foot on there to where the ankle might be, and then the foot. And I'm going to do the same thing again, only this one I'm going to highlight, hold the Alt key, hit the pelvis bone, and I'm going to do the same thing again over here. Okay, there we go. So those bones are up and running. First thing I like to do once I've got the bones together is click on the bone strength tool over here. What's the shortcut? S if you're using keyboard shortcuts. Control A will select everything, and then just left click and drag it all to the right, and that'll get rid of this bone strength. You can just type in 0 up there, hit enter, that'll do the same thing. Now once that's done, I'm going to just make sure the bones are all parented and going to work the way I expect them to. So the leg would burn this way. Here we go, that looks fine. The body will turn as one. Oh, looks like I've got some binding on there, so maybe some strength on something. Ah, there it is. Yep, so the bone strength did not go down to 0. Here we go. Try that again. There we go. That's better. We'll figure that out when I start rigging it. Oh, it looks like it's parented to that one for some reason. Not to worry. We'll worry. All I'm concerned about right now are the bones parented correctly. And as far as I can tell, they are. And then you can always do a visual by clicking on the bone parent tool there, or reparent bone tool as it says, and you can see how the bones are related to each other. Looking good. We can move forward now. Well, I'm going to put on all of the layers, and I'm going to start to bind these bones, or the layers to the bones. And I'm just going to start from the top and work my way down. So Mona's head, we'll use the bind layer, and it is a layer. We can't do point binding on vector layers. So Mona's head full. I'm just going to click on the head bone. That's now parented, and I'll just demonstrate that there. Ooh, look at that! Isn't it fun with her wings? So that's fine. That might cause a problem later, but I'll figure that out when we do the head. When we do the head rigging. But usually this is how I would do it. The hair's not quite so rigid there. Okay, so the neck is going to be. I'm going to bind points on the neck because then I'll show you. If I bind the neck layer to the bone, you'll see that this is not going to work at all. We're going to get, oh look, her neck's broken. So what I'm going to do is we will release that layer and the points, and we'll just set it back to normal. Then I'm going to bind the layers. So I want around by the base of the neck to all be attached to the chest layer, and then I want everything else bound to the neck bone. And we've bound those points in, and then you'll see that gives us a bit more of a natural look. I could do something with this, but I don't think when we start animating she's not really going to move that much, so I'm not going to worry about that little detail. Okay, now we're going to go down, just keep going down from top to bottom, layer by layer. This knot is going to be attached to the pelvis. Chances are I may change my mind as I start animating, but there you go. The belt needs to be on the same layer as well, so just going to put that on the pelvis bone. The left hand, we need to bind that one. The left hand, it's my left by the way, not hers. I found that's a little bit confusing when I've got the character's left hand and the character's right hand, particularly when I flip them around on horizontal and then the hands change places. It gets really confusing. So it's always going to be my left and my right. You can do it however you like. I'm going to bind that layer in, and you just need to do the top of the switch layer. I've got a patch which I need to put in. Actually, I'll leave the patch until later so we can actually see how that works. And then I'm just going to go left forearm is going to be bound to the left forearm bone. Right hand is going to be the same. And we'll keep running down. I'll turn off the patches so I can talk about those separately. The right forearm. The skirt is going to be a little bit difficult, but I think we will bind that. And I'm going to do point binding to the pelvis for the moment. And that should all be there if I do this. Right, good. Because if I'm going to move the legs significantly, then it'll be binding those points to different bones if I want to do that. Right, we're going to continue to run down. So right foot, my right leg, left foot, left leg, and the chest. Okay, so the chest is going to be, if I have multiple bones on the chest, then obviously we'd be binding the points relative to those bones, but they are going to be bound to the same bone, except for the shoulders. So maybe I'll come back to that in just a sec. We'll finish the rest of these off. So right upper arm, left upper arm, and the hair back should be attached to the head. Okay, now I'm going to hide the head so I can see the shoulders, and we're going to look at the chest. What I need is I need to get these arms, the shoulders to move up and down so she can shrug. And I want it to look natural. So that doesn't look natural. The arm is poking around from around the back, not where I want it. So I'm going to use the point selection, the bind points tool. I am now going to select everything that I want to be attached to the main backbone. Just hit Alt to select that bone. I'm going to select everything. Whoops, be careful there. That I want to be attached to that bone, which is everything except for the couple of points there for the shoulders. I'm going to bind those. We'll see if I've missed any when we test it. And then for the left collarbone, I'm going to bind those 3 points there as the way I've drawn it. For the right collarbone, remember putting Alt left click to select the bone, and I'm going to click on these ones, those top 3 for the shoulder. Bind points. Now I'm going to test it. How does that look? Ooh, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, happy with that. Now let's do a quick test all the way through. Head looks fine. Sure, I've got some. She's not really going to be moving her head that much, and I'll need to figure out what to do with the hair. I may end up, when I do the head, to actually remove this bone entirely and control everything from the head from within the head folder, or the head layer folder. I think you know what I mean. But we'll worry about that in the next video. So the neck looks good. Let's get on the bone layer there. Make sure everything's working. Okay, I've already checked the shoulders, the arms. Oh, actually, they're not bad at all, are they? They look pretty decent there. Oh, that one's floating around. I'm going to get rid of the head so you can see it. That one's floating, so I'll have to fix that one. That one looks pretty close. Oh yeah, it was a little bit out. The legs are not in any way reflecting on the skirt, so I'm not going to worry too much about that unless I really want to get it to move significantly, which I probably won't. Right, and I think that's pretty much how it is. The feet. Oh, the feet are not working. Of course they're not, because they're boots. Right, let's go back to each of those foot layers. This is going to be an easy fix. Just got to find them. Right, so the first thing I do then is, because I've already bound it, I'm just going to release the layer and points, and then I'm going to use the points, the bind points tool. There we go. You can tell I'm a doer, not a teacher as a rule. I know what to do. What do you call it? I don't know. Right. Anyhow, so we're just going to bind those points to that foot, to that bone rather, to the foot bone, and I take the ankle bone, just left click and Alt, highlight the bones that I want to be on that layer, bind it. Then I'm going to test it. Which, ooh, I missed a point. Look at that. That one belongs on the leg bone there, so I'm just going to include that one and highlight the one I want, bind. And I think that's good enough. I don't think she's going to move her feet that much more. If it's a problem, though, I can quite easily delete that point. There we go. Right, and then it's a little less there. We'll do the same with the left foot. Sorry, the right foot. We'll release the binding on it because we already tried the layer binding. Highlight the foot bone. Highlight the points I want attached. Hit bind. Alt. left click to select the next bone, and I'll bind those points on there. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to get rid of that point. I think it's 1 point too many. If I do want that shape back, I can just use the Bezier points to add that little bit in there, which I think I do. I'm going to go back and do that one. Oh, there we go. Let's go make sure the right thing's highlighted. And we're good. If we then test it, that looks fine. Like I said, she's not going to be moving her legs that much. Okay, so that's it. That's the basic rig. We're going to have to clean up some joints, elbows, and so that'll be the next thing we do. And there's no real order in which you have to do this stuff. This is just a layer undoing it. Oh, let me just have a look on the arms. Okay, those arms look good. Right, she's not going to be lifting her arms above her head. She's just going to be kind of sitting there, maybe some mild gesturing. I think that looks good. Let's get to the elbows. Right, what we need to do on the elbows is, let's take the one that's the most severe, that one there. Okay. Let's click back on the timeline. Right, I want to get rid of the confusion of the other shapes, so let's just push those out of the way so the skirts can disappear. And I'm going to get the belt out of the way. There we go, that should be enough. So I'm just going to now tidy this up. So let's get so the layer selector tool is really helpful. So you don't have to keep looking down the side. You can just click the layer select tool, click on a shape, and it'll take you to that layer. So super easy. Right, in this today I'm just going to redraw this so that it fits. So you can see, right, the elbow is really coming out quite a long way. Easy enough to do. Just going to take a few of these points, and I'm just going to flatten them up a little bit, pull them down, make it a little rounder. I should turn off those Bezier handles. They just get in the way. Oh, maybe we'll put them back on again. They were getting in the way. Now I need them. Okay, that's pretty close. We can. Right, now that looks fine. I think if I do a quick test here, that's okay. It's not great, but I think I want to get rid of that corner. There's a corner on there, about there, that I want to move. Okay. I want to just soften that where those interact there. A bit more. Here we go. Right, we'll give that a go. That's probably okay. That's popping out there a bit, but that could just be the positioning of the bone. So I'm going to move the bone just slightly. So back up to the root layer where the bones are, and then I'm just going to move the bone so it's a little bit more central in that joint. In this particular case, that's where it would work best, and I want to put that back there. And you can see that kind of fixes that. Okay, so what are we going to do about that line, that rather unsightly line? Well, there's something called a patch, which if I put the patch on, it will actually cover up the line of the shapes in front of the furthest most one. So I got a patch on for the upper forearm, which is left upper arm, which is there, and that masks between whatever comes in between the left upper arm and the left the left forearm and the left upper arm, getting confused, will lose that part of the shape. So that's good. So you can see how that will mask out as well the other layers. So when we animate, we need to be aware of that limitation, so we can't have that part of the arm coming in front of that part of the chest shape, which again, for what I've got in mind for this character, that's not going to be an issue. We also need to do the same with the right arm, as that's our rights and not hers. It gets confusing depending on how you name this stuff. So I'm just going to test that. How does the elbow look? A little bit of a bump there. So that is telling me the bone is in slightly the wrong place. So I'm just going to move the bone so it's a little bit more central. And of course, every bone you touch is no doubt going to move another one. Okay, and we'll just check that. Elbow. That's better, isn't it? That side's fine. That one, I need to just add a little bit more. What's the opposite action? This is the opposite problem I had with the other one, right? So this one needs to just be made a little bit rounder, a little bit fuller. Okay, and we'll test it. I think that's fine. I don't know if the character's really going to move our arm that far. Now, if I do the right upper arm patch, and we'll see if that one was automatically bound, and it is. So I must have bound that one somehow. But there it is. The patch is attached to this bone. Oh, actually, I wonder if this is a new feature with 15 of MOHO 13.5, that it actually binds the layer, the patch layer, to the bone that its patching is attached to. Okay, that would probably explain it. I know I didn't do both. So there we go. It worked. I'm not going to question it. Now the other check is just make sure the wrists look fine. I think they're fine. There might be an issue with the line on the hand rig being a little too narrow. I might want to thicken that up, but I'm going to wait until I see that on screen with the background. If she's against a dark background, you're not even going to notice that. And then we'll just check the wrist up, pick the right bone, and that looks fine. I'm not going to use a patch on this because I don't need to, because of the way I've rigged the hands, just because there is no, you can see a line here, but there isn't really a line. So that looks good. Going to bring everything else back, and I think that is the basic bones done. So the hips, the bone manipulation tool, it's just moving a little bit. So what I think I would like to do on this one then, because I've got that bone a little low, I'm not going to adjust that bone because it's going to throw everything else out. I think it'll just be easier to bind, to change my mind on the skirt. I'm going to bind the points and use the bind points tool for all of them instead of release the points. So again, this will be quick and easy. I've done this before. So for the highlight, make sure the chest bone's highlighted, the ones that I want to follow. The chest bone is there. I think that should be fine. And then whatever's going to follow the pelvis bone, then just highlight those there. Again, I'm just using Alt to select the bones. Oh, well, here's a little tip. So you've highlighted some. If you hold down Shift, you can now highlight more, which is what I forgot to do. Okay, and then bind points, and then I'm going to test that because I probably missed some. So that's the pelvis bone, and that's the good. So the skirt looks fine. I've animated a point. I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, so then we got just the belt to reassign. That's again just a layer bone. I'm going to put that onto the chest bone, and the belt knot will go on the chest bone to follow the belt. So there you go. So yeah, there's a little bit of wibbly wobbly here, but I don't think that's going to cause any problems at all. Easy way to fix that though is just get rid of a point. I've probably got one too many points on there and it's getting confused. So if I do that and then use the Bezier points on at one end or the other, I can then add some shape back to it. And then when I do the test, there's a bit wobbly. So back up, change the plan. Just undo. I am going to bring that, leave that point back in there. I'm going to bring it down. So a lot of the rigging is trial and error, as you can see. No two rigs are the same. There you go, that's better, that does it. Good enough. Like I said, she's not going to move much more than that anyway. And I might want to do something with that belt if I do. But I'm going to leave that right there. I'm not anticipating massive amounts of movement with this character. Right, give it a once over. So head, neck, get rid of the head. Shoulders look good. Elbow looks good. Wrists look good. And as far as we know, feet look good. They're not going to move too much. Okay, we're good. I'm not going to do anything more with the skirt unless I need it for the scene at hand, which I don't think I do. Okay, now the tailbone will become very useful, particularly if you've got a character that you need to kind of bob up and down, move them around. So you can move the entire character with this bone, which looks a bit funny without a head. Let's put her head back on. But she's going to be, like I said, she's going to be standing still. And almost always when I'm doing any kind of a rig, if they're standing still, I want their feet to be absolutely planted to the ground. If they're walking, I want them to be walking, and when their feet hit the ground, I want them to be planted on the ground. Easy way to do this is just to use target bones. So I'm actually going to create some target bones. So first thing I need to do is I'm going back to the main bone layer. I'm now going to hit Alt and click on some empty space outside. That will then make sure that no other bones are highlighted, otherwise it'll parent. We don't want it to parent. So I'm just going to draw a bone from the bottom of the leg bone, and I'm going to name that bone. This will be left foot. I'm going to call it left foot anchor. That means it's a bone that the left foot is going to be anchored to. And then Alt click again just to unhighlight that bone. I'm going to put this bone click onto empty space. I'm now going to put that one there. Now there might be an issue with those bones being slightly different layers, different levels, but it's an easy adjustment if it does become a problem. So bone selection tool, go up to the top and change the label, and this will be right foot anchor. Now, in order to use these, we need to select the leg bones, and the reason we're going to select the leg bones is because will become apparent. Anyway, I'm going to select the leg bone, go to bone constraints, target bone, left foot anchor, and you'll see a little target. Well, you can't zoom in too much, they've changed that feature, but there's a little target on there which shows that the target bone has been attached. And I'm going to do the same with the right leg, target, right foot anchor. There we go. And I'm going to do another thing on the feet bone. I'm going to get that independent angle, and that'll just keep that angle where it is. And if you want to move the foot angle, you've got to change it yourself. And I'll show you that right now. So independent angle for both the feet. Right, if I go back here, the bone manipulation tool. Oh, I'm going to get rid of the strength on those bones. We don't need them. But if I do this, you can see her legs are staying still. I do have a problem with those knees bending the wrong way though. Like I said, I may not need it, but there is a way out of that, and it's like this. I'm going to fix that right now. That's because I've got the bones are too straight. If you draw a straight line, it's going to go all the way down. What we need to do is just adjust that bone very slightly, so that just move it to one side. Then I'm going to move that back, and then I'm going to move that bone to one side, just so that the bones are naturally bent. Right, that should be pretty good then. I might need to move those target bones. Let's find out. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, and you can see what I mean. So if I'm going to get it to move up and down, I'm going to have to animate that skirt. But again, we'll find out. I don't like to animate to rig anything that I don't think I'm going to need. So I don't think I'm going to need it, so we'll rig that later if I need to. And okay, that's it for the regular build. Shoulder turn. I'm looking at this thinking I don't need to do too much at all. And it will be very subtle. So let's just go ahead. We're going to bone selection tool, and I'm going to click outside anywhere to unselect. Make sure there are no bones selected because I don't want this parented. So I'm going to create a smart bone. I'm just going to put this up here. I'm going to label it shoulder turn. You can call this whatever you like, but and with the smart bones I like to see the label. So make sure it's highlighted, show label. So before I do anything, I'm just going to move that out of the way there. Good. Now I don't need to change the strength, the bone strength, because the next step will get rid of that for me. Okay, so I'm going to go to bone because I'm going to create a smart bone dial. So on the bone layer, bone menu, make smart bone dial. The name's already there. If you hadn't named it, it would be like B24 or whatever the default name of the bone. You can enter it in there. I like to go the duration frames to 120, and separate actions for positive and negative angles. Yes, we'll keep that. I'm going to click OK. So we've got the bone now. The reason I want to go 120 instead of 100 is because if we go 100, for some reason it's over here and it's kind of an odd. It's 4 seconds and a bit. So I just kind of round it up to the 5. It's a little easier to visually check it out. You've got the halfway points, easier to find, and so on. Right, so when we do any kinds of smart bone dial, I like to change the transition to linear, so that the bones will move in a linear fashion. That means it will ease it in and out, and it'll be a lot smoother transition from one to the other. But if you're moving multiple layers with a smart bone dial, and they're moving different distances and there are different numbers of points, they will actually start moving and finish moving at different times, and it will look really odd. So if you set it to linear, they'll all move at the same speed. And then when you animate, you'll animate the smart bone dial bone. You'll animate that with maybe smooth or ease in, ease out to get that effect. Right. So what I need to do is decide how I want the body to turn. So I'm in the smart bone. I'm in the action for the smart bone dial, shoulder turn. It's going from left to right, so I'm going to get those shoulders just to move very slightly to the left, and I'm trying to imagine as she moves her head, so the shoulders are likely to move as well. So I'm just going to move the head out of the way because I don't need that. And I'm just going to move the first thing. I think is the neck is the first thing, and we will move that very slightly, and it'll just, because the neck is going to be attached to the head, or it'll be attached to the head turn. I'm just going to move some shadows, and I'm going to move those a bit as well. I want to just highlight those bones, and then we'll just get a very subtle move on the neck. And I'm going to move these noticeable shapes as well, just a little bit. And it's just to get the illusion that the neck is moving with the body. Right, I was on the wrong frame. I'm just going to move those back. And for some reason, I think the default state of points they are smooth. So I'm just going to turn those to linear, and those keyframes then can be a little bit more natural. Okay, and I'm going to adjust that slightly, and we'll adjust that slightly. I'm holding down shift, then that just helps it keep it on that same level. So I do shift, I can go up and down straight, up and down. I can go left and right, up and down. Otherwise it can end up in any direction. There. Just going to hit undo on that one. So then we get so you should then see that move very slightly. Oop, that didn't go the way I wanted, did it? Good. Again, like I said right at the beginning, this is a very subtle kind of movement. Now, when she's looking now to our left. I'm going to get we're now just going to do some work on the shoulders and the buttons and some of the folds in the cloth. We're going to move slightly as well. Right, so where is the body? So just the layer select tool, click on the shape, and it takes me right there. So we're still in the shoulder turn action, so make sure with that, otherwise we could be in trouble. And I'm just going to start moving some points there. So let's see how I can make this look good there. So I'm not going to worry too much about the rest of the body. Just going to move this very slightly. I'm going to leave the points near the bottom alone. Right, I'm not going to touch that side yet. Okay, good. And I'm just going to. Okay, well, I've got some points highlighted. I'm just going to now drag this point here and move it slightly, and then we can see. Right, you got that slight, subtle move, and I might do that just a little bit more move. Then I'm just going to move the whole lot over a little bit. Okay, we've got some odd point stuff happening there. Okay, just Control Z to undo it. Highlight that point, which is the one that's the problem. That one there is the problem. There we go. And again, the default state of those points are smooth, so switch to linear. Okay, that's not too bad. I don't like that point is causing a tangent. I don't like that. But otherwise, I think that's decent. This doesn't look natural. That line there should be following the buttons. So if I just do that, how does that look? Oh, there we go. I think that's fine. The top button. Oh yeah, that does float. That button looks like it's floating, so that has to change as well. So here we go. And of course, if you build the layers, these layers, you'll kind of know how you did it, and you're not. It looks like I might be guessing which are the Bezier handles to move, but I did build this, so I know more or less what's where. Okay, so that's it. That's kind of it. I might just change one or two over there. Good. That's great. Now I'm going to move the arm now, or I'm going to move that one back a little, but fear not. I'm now going to move that arm back, and I'm going to do that via the bone. So hit the bone layer, we'll hit the transform bone tool. I'm just going to hold that button there and then just move it just back slightly as it's going behind the body. And again, we've got the problem with the keyframes becoming a smooth transition instead of linear. So if anyone knows how to fix that off the bat, let me know. Right, and there you go. So you can see that nice little subtle turn on the shoulder, which is great. And now I want to do another adjustment there on the top of the body, and we'll need to do basically the same thing again on that side, which is just to grab some of those points, but not that one, and I'm just going to move those over like so. And again, we'll just test it. There you go, that looks nice, right? I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to move that a little bit. Oop. I'll move that one a little bit, and I want to move that one a little bit more right there, down like that. There you go. Yeah, a lot of this you're doing by feel. There's no real rules on what you should and shouldn't do. Oh, make sure we're on the right. Does that look? Oh, that starts off high. Okay, now anything you do on when you're modifying an action, anything you do on frame 0 will affect the character once you leave the action. So just be aware of that. And I'm just going to move that down, and I know it's going to affect it right across the board. So, but that's not a problem. Not for me. Right, there we go. That's good. I want to look at the shoulder at the end, and there we go. Let's move that over. I'm going to move that over as well. Actually, I'm just going to grab the Bezier handle, move that over a bit, move that over, and I think that's going to look fine. Just make these look like they are. Okay, I'm back on frame 0, just putting that back where it needs to be before we do the animation. And okay, that gives it a little bit more of a natural feel. And I'm going to move that other shoulder over. And if I can find it, bone layer. by the transform tool. It's going to do exactly the same thing, and I'm going to move it in. Okay, I'm going to take that up a little bit as well, so those holes line up. And there we go. This is our subtle shoulder turn. Great. So I can now go back to mainline, and I just want to make sure that that is doing what I think it is. There you go. Good. And then we just spend some time very quickly doing the opposite direction. And again, it's all subtle. It all adds to just something a little bit more interesting on the screen. So I'm going to start with the shirt again. Just going to highlight some points. It might seem like I'm doing points that are different from last time, and that's because I don't remember exactly what I did on the last one, but this is the way it is. It is as much an art form as anything. Right, here we go. Well, it is an art form, literally. Anyhow, I'm going to move these points across. I'm going the wrong way. They should go across that way. And that should be pretty close. And we're testing all the way. Give that one a little bit of a move, just so it doesn't stand out as being too stationary. Okay, that looks fine. We need to do the opposite of what we did before. Let's move that over. We've got that one there. Good. How does that look? Okay, we've got a problem with this one as well. Just make it look like it's all moving as a single piece of cloth, and that's fine. I don't think that's a... I said that's fine, and then I go and move it. There we are. Good. And before I forget, I'm going to move that shoulder over in just a smidge, and we'll test that. That looks fine. Oh, by the way, I'm using the middle mouse button to zoom in and out of my view. Sorry, yes, the wheel, the wheel, middle mouse button wheel thing on the mouse. Good, so that looks great. So I'm going to go back to the shirt again, chest I called it, and we'll just finish up on that one and quickly. Almost done here. Okay, just scrubbing along there so I can get there, make sure I get the right ones. Okay, I'm going to do that and that. I'm going to hold down the shift button just to make sure I can select more of them. Okay, let's move those over there. I might be doing too much all at once. I should probably check this more often. There we go. Oh, that one's a bit more than a subtle move there, isn't it? Okay, it's gonna just add a little movement here. Okay, I think we're good. Actually, I like the way the cloth is moving. And then we're going to move that shoulder over. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I need to make a slight adjustment on the shirt there, blouse bit, because I think it's now too low. I went down too low there. Okay, how's that? There we go. That's on. Okay, I think we're done there. Let's go back to mainline, back to frame 0. To the bone layer. Let's test it. How does that look? I'm just going to move that out of the way. I don't need that there. Oh, I've got some animation going on there. Okay, and we're looking sideways. Okay, that's a nice little subtle side to side move. Doesn't need to be much. I've got a little blip there. I'm going to fix that because that's going to bug me. You can just see where those two shadows are crossing over. I've got to fix that. I go to the chest, and it's just a simple move. I think that's all we need to do. Oh, actually that one's doing something a little odd there as well. Okay. One last check. Body turn. Oh, yep, actually I almost see. This is why we keep going back and checking. I didn't do the neck for that, for the shoulder turn 2. We'll go back in there and do that one quick. Neck, neck, neck is there. And again, this is just going to be a subtle, as it all is, just a pretty subtle turn there, just so we can hint that something is going on. Right, how does that look? I was on the wrong line. Okay, here we go. So this will happen quite a lot here. You'll end up on frame 1 when you're meant to be on frame 120 or frame 100, however you're setting it up. I just drag those over. And that should be it. There we go. That seems to fit nicely. Cool. Right, I'm just going to put that over. And I'm just going to put that over as well. Doesn't need to be much. And I think that's it, he said for the 4th time. Okay, I'm going to put the head on because that neck looks like it's doing something funny. And oh no, it's fine. Because you're not going to see those points at the top of the neck. So we're good. I think that's it. All working good. I think we are done. There's Mona. What do you think of this rigging tutorial? Was this helpful? Did you learn anything? Would you like to see more videos like this? Yes? No? Maybe? I hope it's a yes. So leave a comment and let me know. If you're interested in learning animation or improving your animation skills, you could do a lot worse than subscribe to I'm Alive Animation. You know you want to. And don't forget, if you can imagine it, you can bring it to life.